Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bravo Tea with a Stay-at-Home Mom. I'm Erika, and I'm ready to talk all things Bravo. Welcome back, everybody. Happy Sunday. I hope everyone is enjoying their day of rest, whether you are just relaxing or you're cleaning or you're doing something fun, going to like boozy brunch with your friends or your significant other, or if you're just making your Sunday sauce. I hope I give you something to listen to and occupy your time. We are going to talk about Summer House, and then the last portion, I want to talk about part one of Bet It All on Blon, our girl Erika Jayne making her comeback at age 52. But let's get to the youngins in the Hamptons first. So we pick right back up with Carl and Lindsay having their fight. Now, I know this whole season we are going to judge and see the downfall of their relationship, but this already is just, for me, like, done. If I was Carl, I could never come back from it. We all know couples have arguments. Like, I feel like Amanda and Kyle are a good example of, like, yes, they have their problems, but nothing crazy that you can't come back from, or that, like, we're like, oh, they should get divorced and not be together. This, on the other hand, is something I don't think anyone could come back from. She is the one that was drinking. She is not of clear mind, and she's questioning Carl's sobriety, which is something serious because he didn't just have an alcohol problem, he had a drug problem too. And we see Carl putting in the work, doing well. So this is just really terrible. And I'm going to tell you right now, if he was all coked up or drunk, he would not be waking up this early going for a run. He's like, all right, I'm going to leave and go for a run. You can like lay in bed all day since you're the one hungover and you brought up these water bottles thinking I need hydration. You need hydration. You need a liquid IV from Costco. You need an IV into your bloodstream and you need to pipe your mouth down. Be activated elsewhere. I'm going to go be activated on the streets having my jog. So then he comes back from his run. Gabby and Carl kind of run into each other downstairs. They just kind of talk about the fight real quick. Carl was like being kind of quiet. And it was hard to hear everything he was saying, but he was just explaining to Gabby like why Lindsay was getting activated. So this was my guess that like she was in the boys' car and she was going to be like, "Oh, this is going to be a problem." Always like getting like hyped up over nothing. So she said like, "Is this going to be a problem?" And Carl's like, "No, it's fine." And her being drunk and him not, they're getting on each other's nerves. And what Lindsay talks about later in the episode is that they spend too much time together. So I'll get into that like when she actually says it, but I think this is something that also is starting to bother her. Like, he still hasn't gotten a new job since Loverboy. I mean, granted, they do press and stuff for the show and they're doing the show, but like they live together, they do the show together, and then he doesn't go to work and like occupy his time with something else. So I think she's feeling annoyed that they're always together. Because as we can see, Lindsay is like a very strong New York woman, like businesswoman, has her own life and agenda aside from her relationship. So I think she's just starting to get bothered by that too. Then everyone else starts to trickle down to the kitchen. Paige said she browned out, not blacked out, just browned out, because I feel like she never goes out, but we got everybody the night before going out. So that was good. But Jesse had to hit it with a little compliment towards Paigey, and he said, "Well, you look good." Stop it, Jesse. Stop it right now. Because when Craigie comes there, he's been working out. He's going to come suffocate you with one of the sewing down south pillows. He is. And you're not going to be happy. You may be taller and maybe physically could take him in a fight, maybe, because I don't know. Like I said, he's been working out, but Craigie will win and conquer for love of Paige. So slow your roll, Jesse Solomon. But then Lindsay is just telling Danielle about the fight. Danielle's looking a hot mess because she's single right now. She's living it up in the Hamptons. She's had a couple relationships go south because she doesn't have Robert anymore. But I didn't watch Winter House. That one didn't work out for her either. And my friend that watched it said she was like so annoying on Winter House. And I feel the overall season of Winter House was annoying. That's why they're not coming back with it for now. It's on pause. I'm glad I didn't watch it because I would probably be more judgmental right now of Danielle. and she would irritate me like everything she does if I watch that. So Lindsay is just explaining it to Danielle because they're pretty much back. They're like fine in their groove again as friends. And the producer on the confessional is asking Lindsay, like, do you really think that he wasn't sober? And she's like, no, I don't think that. And they were like, all right, well, then why did you say it? It is true because it's like if you really don't think that and you were just saying that to kind of be mean, think of something else to say because that's like something you can't come back from, like I said. And she's like, I just have PTSD from like Cocaine Carl. Like that's his nickname. Well, my nickname for you is Lunatic Lindsay, hun. So not a good nickname for you to say Cocaine Carl. And Kyle and Carl go talk outside. And Kyle is just saying to Carl, like, I hate what Lindsay did last night because I do love her to death, but this is what she does. Like, she can't take any accountability for something she's saying that's terrible. Because, like, let's reverse it. If Carl was saying this to Lindsay, be like, I don't even think they would have went to sleep. They wouldn't have even rested their heads on some pillows for the night. And I agree with Kyle. Like, he's like, she needs to take accountability, what she said, and like, words hurt a lot. And I don't know how you're not like more angry about this. And Carl's like, well, I am, but it's crazy. Like, he's like almost looking for an excuse. He's like, maybe I should have done this. And Kyle's like, no, last night was unacceptable, Carl. And then he's like, she's stripping away all the work you have done. And he's like, how many times are you going to fall on the sword and let her do this to you? And then Carl's like, I think it's good we like fought because get it out before we get married. It's like, no, like not something like this because then you shouldn't get married. And like, I'm like wondering if, I don't know, he was like in the back of his brain, like, I don't know if I should do this. And I feel like this is what Kyle was like talking to him about. Like, just think long and hard because it'd be like a lot less embarrassing if you call off the wedding than if you get married for like a month and get divorced or even just any length of time at all, like short period of time marriage, like Britney Spears length, a Kim Kardashian length. Like, remember when she married Chris Humphries? I feel that was like so long ago, but like he was on the show. Remember that? I mean, what is he doing now? Nothing, probably. He is not one that stops by for visits because we see the Kardashian women keep all the men of the past around. It's predominantly the one they had the babies with, but still, Chris Humphries, if he would have slipped in there and had one kid with Kim, we'd be seeing him on the show, which they're coming back May 23rd, by the way. Maybe I'll do like some bonus episodes of talking about them if anyone would like to hear that. I'd love to do some bonus episodes of Jersey Shore too, because I still watch that. Me and the Connection Queen were talking about doing some of that because she's a native of Long Island and she's watches Jersey Shore. She's like, we need to get together and do that. She just started a podcast and I'm gonna try to get her back on here and we could definitely do Bravo, but definitely do Jersey Shore also. But, Kyle is asking Ciara if her and West hooked up, and she's like, "There was, like, a little kiss, like, a little pecks in the hallway." I like that they're taking it slow, but I also like their love connection. It's real. I like it because thank God we're not getting another Austin. Jessie reminds me of, like, a Austin. Like, thank God she's not going for him, and thank God he's distracted hitting on Paige, which is gonna go nowhere. So they're all going to pack up and go to the beach. Love that. Love when they go to the beach. Love when they just get out of the house and we see that. Carl and Danielle are having a nice little football catch on the beach, little chit chat. He's asking how her workflow is going. And then she's just asking about him. And he's like, I think it's a good thing I left Loverboy and I could figure out what I'm doing. It's kind of like funny because now, like, that he left Lindsay, he's back at Loverboy. He's like, oh, I think it's a good thing I left. But then it's like, oh, I'm going back. Here I am. I'm back. And then Paige, this is where I'm talking about with Jesse. He needs to freaking cool it. Paige is telling Amanda and Gabby that the previous night, which we don't get footage of, Jesse was touching her knee at the club. Like, I guess they were all like sitting at the table and he was like turning and talking to someone, but like behind him, he's like holding on to Paige's knee. Like, it's like that's his girlfriend or something, like almost like a, hey, I'm like still kind of, involved with you, but I'm over here talking to somebody, but like still want to show you my affection that I'm thinking about you. It's like, no, I can't stand this. I mean, he needs to just stop it. Stop it now. Hit on someone that's single. Like they don't even have to be in the house. Hit on someone that's single at the club. He's like one of those douchey guys though that like wants the women he can have. But it's awkward because it's not like she's just some girl out at the club and you're like, "Oh, okay, you have a boyfriend? Well, I don't care. I'm still gonna hit on you." It's like you live with her, you're on TV, and her boyfriend's gonna come visit, and all these people are friends. I think later in the season, Kyle calls him out. He's like, "Do you wanna reel it in on how hard you were hitting on Paige the night before?" So he's gonna hit on her even more than that. Mm-mm. So Paige is just like, you know, doesn't bother me because I'm shutting it down, but I feel sorry for him. Like, I feel bad for him. He's embarrassing himself. And then, Amanda's like, yeah, Craigie isn't confrontational, but he'll fight for Paige. And then in her confessional, she's so funny. She's like, I mean, Craig has nothing to worry about, but if a girl was touching his knee on national television, I'd be on an airplane. She's like, I've gone out of my way for less. I love her confessionals. They're so funny, but yeah, I don't think either of them ever has to worry and not trust the other, but I agree, like, I trust my husband, but if I knew someone was doing that to him, I'd still cut a bitch, like, I'm not worried he's gonna leave me for this hoe, but it's just the fact that that's my property, that's my man. So, Craigie is gonna come for Jesse. I would like to know, like, what he'll say because you know that he'll say something. He'll be like, "Hey, that's my girl. Like, it's complimentary that you think she's attractive and that I'm doing well with the girlfriend, but no. No go for you, bud." So, Lindsay is just kinda shit talking with Danielle on the beach. They're back. They're having some rosé in their solo cups. She's just saying that he's still not working yet. And then in the confessional, she's telling us, she's like, you know, Carl is, like, still that kid that's, like, talking about his dreams, what he wants to do when he grows up, but it's like he's already grown up. So she's like, he wanted to do a podcast. So we bought podcast equipment. Then he said he wanted to do motivational speaking. And then he said he wanted to do, I forget the other thing. And then she's like, he paid for a career coach for 6 months. $20,000. First of all, that is so much because you could like Google what you wanna do, slash he has a public platform already, like, he could easily like, "Do the podcast, Carl. Why didn't you do that?" Like, we would all listen or people would listen because you're on TV. Like, all of these Bravo celebrities are doing podcasts, whether they're good or bad, just because they're on TV, and people are listening whether it's good or bad. And the motivational speaking would be great. Like Lindsay could hook you up with that because she is in PR and she does the advertising. So she said she's now doing like the paid ads, kind of like Paige, which she's so good at that. And Paige is good at that. They're all good at that stuff. So like, why doesn't he do that too? It's just, it is weird to me. Like I get if you didn't want to be at Loverboy anymore, but it's like, why aren't you doing anything? So I do sympathize with Lindsay that it's like, all right, like time's a ticking and we have $10,000 a month rent in this apartment and you're contributing like very minor compared to me because I'm still working and doing the show. And then she's like, "How's your dating life? Or would you ever date a chef again?" And Danielle's like, "No." She's like, "I could see myself with a musician." And then good old Lindsay's segueing right into like, "Oh, well, there's like a musician guy that I'd love to introduce you to that's coming to our wedding, but you still haven't RSVP'd for that wedding. Are you coming? Are you coming or not? Because it's 10 days left. Haven't seen your RSVP." So she's like, "I just want to know, like, if you want me there." And Lindsay's like, "Of course I want you there. I wouldn't invite you, whether or not." And like, I do understand what Danielle means. She probably means, do you want me there or are you inviting me because it possibly would have been filmed? I think if the wedding would have happened, it would have been filmed and they would have done like a little 2 episode spinoff or like cameras picked that back up. Because Kyle and Amanda, we saw their wedding, and I think it was just part of Summer House season. I don't think it was like a 2 extra part. It wasn't like a Teresa, like she got extra episodes and stuff like that. Or it was like Sheena and Brock. It would have just been on this season. So, yeah, I think Danielle was more meaning like, "Are you just inviting me because it's probably gonna be on the show and I have to be there?" But she's like, "No, I wanna come," and then they cheers, and I'm glad they're back. They are back, baby. Everyone is getting along, some too much more than others. Talking to you, Jesse Solomon, stop hitting on Paige. And then Kyle is lotioning up Amanda on the beach. He's like, "Is this nice? Is this turning you on?" And she's like, "No." They're funny. And then he hits like the belly button. She's like, "Yep, that's the spot, the little belly button tickle." And then Paige takes West by the water to chit chat about Ciara. And he's like, "Does that feel right to you?" And she's like, "It feels right to me." And she's like thinking like, and that's all that matters because I'm the BFF. So if I approve of you, I'm going to make sure that she ends up with you, which is true. Like if the friends don't like the man, it's telling because they're not the one that is like dating him. They're just saying, I don't feel this for you. And she would be totally honest. So then they all go back to the house and it's funny. They're going to do Amanda, Carl, Ciara, and West and Danielle out to dinner because Kyle's going to stay behind with the doggies with everyone else. So Lindsay's cooking and they're like, "All right, we're off. We're going to test the waters for Ciara and West. We're going to do like a group date to see if they could do like a solo date after this." So then they all cheers when they're out to dinner. And fell in love with Ciara even more than he was already falling in love with her at this moment. He said, "Does anyone know why like Cheers was invented or how it was?" And Ciara said, "If your enemy poisoned your drink, you would cheers and if it splashed in their drink, see if they would like drink it and be poisoned." West is just so turned on and blown away by her. He's like, "You are my lady." He's like, "You're my lady. You are my man." And I love this for them. I love it because I'm still so mad at Austin for screwing Ciara over and Lindsay, side note. I mean, he's just such a butt plug. And what he did to Taylor all last season, well, she did it to herself also, but you know what I mean. Like he could have shunned away from that kiss, told everyone from the get-go what he did to Olivia, but I feel like he kind of like put Taylor in a bad spot too. But he's just an evil man who deserves to be alone forever. But I did side note see, I think he has a girlfriend. I hope she runs for the hills. Because it is weird. It's like when you watch these people that suck on TV, how could anyone want to date them? Because it's like you get a full blown preview of their dating life and how they are. And it's not just for TV. So it's like Tom Sandoval's lady. I don't know if she's still hanging on or he's already cheating on her because he kind of cheated on Raquel too with this like girl that came out and did a podcast. And I'm like, what the heck? It's like people like that can never not be monogamous. I mean, hello to everyone that's going for these creepy, annoying men on TV. But they're having a lovely dinner back at the house. They're all trying to have a lovely dinner, but then Kyle thinks he lost one of the dogs. So then he goes outside and he's like, "Oh no, Reese, where are you?" And he's like, "Oh no." And you could tell he's getting a little buzzed up because his voice always changes. Like he has serious tone in his voice. And then when he gets like drunk, it like goes like higher. Like he's like, Reese, where are you? And then he's like, "Guys, can you like help me?" Comes back in the house. They're all like sitting down having dinner. And he's like, "It's like red alert. The dog is missing and Amanda's going to kill me." And then they're all going around the house. And then Lindsay goes upstairs and she's like, Kyle, the dog's like literally upstairs, just like probably getting away from all our loud voices." Like no one just looked upstairs before you panicked. Like you do have to look in the house before you panic. I mean, sometimes our dog comes up here to nap on our bed. Usually not because he likes people. He likes to be with us most of the time, but sometimes he will be up here if he's had a long day and he just wants to rest on the bed. So that was pretty funny. But then Paige is like, "Okay, Kyle, you're the one that's saying Amanda isn't ready for kids. You're like losing a dog right now. You can't even keep track of these dog children. You're going to keep track of a toddler," which is true. He needs to stop blaming Amanda that it's her that's not ready for the kids. I'm pretty sure it's more him. Like, yeah, he could say, like, "Oh, it's because I work a lot." It's like also because you like to party till like 3 a.m. and turn the speakers on super loud. Like, you would deafen the eardrums of your little babies with the music. But then they're just cleaning up dinner And Paige, Lindsay, and Gabby are in the kitchen. And Gabby's like, oh, you guys haven't really talked in a hot minute. And then it flashes back to the reunion of them arguing because, as we know, Lindsay and Paige have never really had a close relationship. It's more like they have their little tiffs, but then they kind of just go their separate ways and don't really bother with each other. And every summer kind of wash the slate clean. So then Paige is like, well, you saying that you put, or I said that you put that story out about Craig, about Amanda and Kyle's wedding. And she's like, I still believe that that was you and Carl. And Lindsay's like, it wasn't me. And I can't believe you would think I would do that because Carl and I said we didn't. But like, I'm going to tell you right now who it was. It was Danielle.
I can't believe this.
Gabby's face said it all for me. Jaw like dropped to the counter, and then Paige's eyebrows raised up, and they're like, oh, okay. Like, not only am I a little surprised it's Danielle and not you, but shocked you're throwing her under the bus since you guys are getting better. And Paige is like, this is how Lindsay rolls, but I'm here for it. And at least they know it was Danielle, but, like, how weird. Like, I'm wondering if this is gonna be another fight we're gonna see between Lindsay and Danielle, because that's pretty strange that Danielle would say that. Like, I wonder if she was drunk, like, word vomit saying that to someone. Like, I don't think she'd be calling, like, Radar Online, like Elisa Vanderpump, and leaking the story about Craig, who, no matter how drunk Craig got at Kyle and Amanda's wedding, he's not getting kicked out. I mean, please, they're all friends. And it was at Amanda's parents' house. Like, it's not like it was a venue where they're like, all right, you're causing like a violent scene. We're asking you to leave as the venue. So just weird in general that that story did exist at all. But then everyone comes back from Din Din. Or no, they don't come back from Din Din, but some people are like, all right, let's go out and meet the people that left the house for dinner. And the people that stay back, of course, Paige and Amanda and the doggies. So everyone goes out, and then Lindsay and Carl trickle back in at like 12:30. I love when we get the timestamps. And then everyone else that went out at 2:27. Gabby is stumbling in, as is Kyle. Kyle turns on the music, and they're like, Amanda and Paige are in their beds sleeping. And Amanda, the lights were on. So she must have fallen asleep with the lights on, because they can have the cameras like film in the dark. And she has like her hand over her eyes and she's sleeping with the dogs. And then Kyle turns on the fog machine and it sets the fire alarm off. Oh my God. This is when he would be so annoying. Like, he is the oldest in the house, but literally the biggest man child and most annoying. So then Amanda's like, oh my God, this is so annoying. And then it's so funny. Kyle falls asleep with West in his room. So they fall asleep, like clothes on, shoes on, like sideways on the bed. And then he wakes up the next morning. He's like, they've kind of like moved and almost like in a half cuddle position. It's so funny. You could tell he wakes up and he's like, oh my God, I have no recollection that I fell asleep in here. So funny. And then he like stumbles into Amanda in his room and she's like, where did you fall asleep last night? And he's like, in West's room. And she's like, what? She's like, do I need to be concerned? And then they're all just packing up, getting ready to leave. And West asks Ciara out to dinner. It's so cute. And he's like, I heard like the night before you said you want a car pickup for if you go on a date. So I'll do that for you. So cute. He's a Southern gentleman. Like, I love that for her because she deserves a real Southern gentleman, because Austin turned out not to be. So we do see them in the city going on their date. He's a little sweaty. They're cute though. They have a lot in common. They like the outdoors. And I think he likes that, like, she's like a model, but she has that outdoorsy, can like have fun down home vibe, which I like about her too. Like, she's so pretty. You can dress her up, but you can dress her down. She's like the perfect mix for him. Cause I feel like he's like that too. Like, obviously he likes to go out and have fun in the Hamptons and be dressy and nice, but he likes to like wrestle some cattle. And he learned that Ciara has like hiked all these national parks. He's totally into that. So I hope that we find out current day that they're dating. I think that would be splendid. And then Lindsay meets Carl out at this like very ugly, homely looking bar. And you could tell when she walked in, she's like, yeah, very unimpressed by this place. Just give me whatever you want to drink. I don't even want to be here. So this is number 2 on my list to why I think Carl is already in his brain like, oh my God, I don't think I should do this. So they are talking about his career, and she's just like, I'm attracted to drive, like what people, when they know what they want, like a man that's just like, I'm like solid in my career. I'd be like, all right, let's go to the bathroom right now. And then he's like, do you want to go to the bathroom right now? And she's like, no. And I'm like, oh shit. Like, tell us how you really feel. Um, he's just saying that he thinks it was good for him to take that break from Loverboy to like reflect and find out what he wants, which I agree. Everyone needs to take a beat sometimes to find out what they want as a career, especially when that was his probably he thought long time career with his best friend. And him leaving was sad for him and their friendship. And he needed to take a little time to figure it out. But spending $20,000 on a career coach for 6 months and then buying podcast equipment and doing all this stuff and still you don't even know what you're going to do. It's like kind of annoying. So I do see where Lindsay is frustrated by that. But her saying like she's not attracted to Carl right now because he doesn't have a career is pretty like emasculating for him and pretty strike 2 for me. Like you're calling him Cocaine Carl, questioning his sobriety the prior weekend. Now you're saying you're not turned on to him because he doesn't have a career. But like I said, he is on the show and he does stuff for Bravo. So it's like not like he doesn't do anything. It's not like he's eating bonbons on the couch, totally mooching off you, and you're covering the $10,000 a month rent with no help from him. So then at the very end, he proposes the idea of having a sober sports bar. Her face immediately, she's like, I'm going to tell you right now, being in the hospitality business, like my whole adult life, that's a no for me. And the one thing she said, which is very valid, which I understand, she said, I'm going to tell you, I don't want that for our family life, like being in the hospitality industry, because I will say, like, when you are married to someone that has like a bar or a restaurant, you're married to the bar or restaurant. Like we see that of Katie and Tom with Tom Tom. That was hard. And even for Ariana and Tom, that was hard because they were with Lisa a lot setting that up. But thank God they had Lisa and Ken kind of doing a lot of the work. But they were, they're doing a lot. But really the downfall was when they did Schwartz and Sandy's. And that was pretty much put a pin in it. It's done for Katie and Tom. And she said that like last season. That was really sad. She's like, it nearly broke you and it broke us. And that was sad when she said that. And I think it's true. I think that really broke their marriage. And then Tom and Ariana, that put a lot of stress on their relationship. And then look what happened. Raquel to add it to the mix. So I think Lindsay has seen people fall apart and she doesn't want that for them. But her saying like mean, sharp things to Carl, like I get what she means. It's like her delivery. Like she's very abrasive when she talks and she's just like a ball buster. She's like that New York grind career person, like telling you like it is. She needs to be a little softer with Carlita. I'm totally seeing why he broke up with her. I don't think it's a bad thing that they ended it, but I think it's bad timing of when he did it. Like he let her have the shower and then he waited so long that everyone didn't get a refund on their room. So I think he was second guessing and he should have maybe done it before all that. Don't say like, oh, well, I didn't want to do it like the day before her shower. It's like, please do. And then have her cancel the shower. But we're going to take a little break and then we'll come back with the recap of Bet It All on Blonde. To all my listeners out there, it's not just the Bravo celebrities that want to look beautiful. We do too. Head on over to Studio One Salon for the most amazing extensions, cut, color, or even just a nice shampoo and blowout for when you go out with all your friends to talk about all the latest Bravo tea. Use my code BRAVOT with a stay at home mom to enjoy 10% off. So we got part one of the Bet It All on Blonde episode right after the part two of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion. So I liked seeing Erika like all by herself because it was interesting just to see her talk more about the Tom stuff. They dove into it a little bit at the beginning. She was just saying, it was still really hard for her and people don't understand. Like when she first met Tom, she asked him why he chose to be the type of defense attorney he was. And he's like, because I hate seeing people be taken advantage of. And it's like so ironic now because it's like you took advantage of them. And it has to be hard for her because her whole like way she saw him and looked at him for all the years they were married, I think they were married for like 20 years, um, is totally a lie, like a facade. Like she's like, this person that I thought I knew, I didn't. So like not only are they legally dealing with everything, which is horrible, and being in the public eye, which makes it even more horrible. She doesn't even like know the person she was married to. Like it's like a total lie. You question your whole life is like a lie and a fraud. So I liked that we got to see that because we watched like all the Hulu stuff, The Housewife and The Hustler, but this was like a little softer, her talking about it because part one of Housewife and The Hustler, we didn't even see her. And then part two, it was like not good for me. Not a good look for Erika because she sat down with the victims. She said in part two of the reunion when Andy asked, like, why'd you meet with the victims? She's like, I don't know. And it's like, what? Like, what do you mean you don't know? Just say like you wanted to hear their side of the story. Done. Like bam. That's not going to be held against you in court for saying that. So that was weird. But I liked we got a little soft side at the beginning, but predominantly what we saw was the making of the Las Vegas residency. So this is 30 days prior to them going to Vegas. We got Mikey Minden back. We got all the little backup dancers. We got her manager and they're all just going to rehearsals. Now, I love to see this stuff because I used to take dance lessons my whole life from like kindergarten to senior year in high school. And then when I was in high school, I started competing and I just love dance. Like I do love to watch all the dance shows, sometimes still like Dancing with the Stars when I'm not watching Bravo. And then I love to watch So You Think You Can Dance back in the day, and then love to watch Dance Moms. That Abby Lee Miller is crazy. Now my daughter, my older one, likes to watch it, so it's so funny. But I just love to see the making of dancing. So all this was very intriguing to me. And when we watch it, we all need to just appreciate and compliment that she is 52. She is still killing it with the dance moves. These are like you may not say like the hardest dance moves, but just walking around in the heels she does, moving her body is crazy and coordinating it with all these dancers and she hasn't done it in like 4 or 5 years. So there were times where Mikey was getting like very frustrated, which I understand. They have to do more tough love on you. Like they're not going to compliment you. Like our competition teacher wasn't like, "Oh, everything looks great. No negative comments to fix everything." No, they usually are more negative to get you to work harder. So a lot of times he was like, she's just not here. She's not focused, which I mean, yeah, hi. She's like dealing with a lot right now, but I get it. At one point he was like, we need to drop this number. I don't think we could do this number. It was what number was it? Now I'm in a blank. Um he was shocked though, because he said, like, he thought that was gonna be the best and easiest one for her, but it was like they were doing all these dance moves on this, like, bed, and she just had the 2 other girls with her, and he's like, she's not doing it anymore. I used to give her a pair of heels, and this was just all, like, ad libbed. And some of the dance moves she just made up, like kind of rolling around, being all sensual. But he has to remember too. I mean, this is like 5 years later, and she's 52, like I said. It's like when we see all these older musicians, like I'm really into 80s rock. So I love Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue. Like when I go to see them now in concert, it's unfortunate that they're not in their prime youth anymore. They are not running around on stage and like hitting all those super high notes. Like it's just kind of take it or leave it. What they are is what they are now. And it's kind of like her. She still looks phenomenal. And he's acting like, oh, 5 years has passed by. Why aren't you like rolling around and doing splits like you used to? And she still is. I mean, by the end, she was looking great. They do a lot of like sad talk. So, like at one point, the manager was like, we need to like mic and have a talk. And I'm like, oh, what are they saying that we can't hear? Like, I want to know. And the production, like, film crew was like, "Well, like, whatever you have to say, like, it's fine, like, even if it's negative, like, it's gonna add value to the show," and, like, I get what they mean, like, we have to take the good with the bad, and we wanna hear these behind the scene, like, meetings and things, and they're like, "No, like, we don't want you to hear what we're gonna say," and I'm like, "Why? What is it?" Now I'm even more intrigued. I need to know what you're gonna say. That's always what keeps us on our toes when they're like, "Oh, no, this will be, like, bad if you hear this." I do wonder, like, what are they saying? Like, "Oh, we have to cut this number because it looks like crap." I don't know. Like, they what are they talking about? They're not talking about anything legal or like Tom, I would assume, because it's not really about that right now. It's about prepping for the show. But she's always at the studio rehearsing. She gets back late nights. The one night she gets back, it was so sad. So her dog Tiago, whom that was like her dog, but she had it like in the house with Tom because she said Tom never really liked dogs, but I feel like they had it to like protect the house and like her feel protected and she likes dogs. And he's getting much older now. And she gets him out of his cage to go to the bathroom because she probably has to put him in the crate because I bet he has like accidents or maybe he'll get into things or maybe she just always kind of put him in a crate. Some people still always do, like for the whole duration of dogs' lives when they're at work or they're not in the house. They don't really trust the dog in the house. We don't have to do that with our dog, thankfully. He just like relaxes on the couch and chills when we're not here. He doesn't do anything crazy. And she's trying to take him out to go to the bathroom, and he can't even stand on his legs. It was so sad, and he's a big dog, and she was picking him up just to go outside and go potty, and that was making me really sad. Um, then they're, like, getting ready to go to bed, and she gets, like, a knock on the door, and she's like, "Who is this?" And it's somebody asking for a comment on, like, Tom's, like, cognitive stance and, like, if he can stand trial, because at this point, he wasn't ruled to, like, stand trial yet. And she's like, "Are you serious? Like, I don't wanna do this right now." And then they left and she's like, "That is so weird," like, whatever. So, I feel bad, like, Mikey Minden needs to realize that this is why she's maybe not rolling around on those beds every day like she used to 5 years ago. Like, her life has really been flipped upside down, but she did not want to miss on this opportunity, and she said she's so appreciative that somebody wanted to give her this opportunity because when this all happened, a lot of people didn't want to work with her anymore. And she was probably almost even scared she was going to be like fired from the show because it's a lot. Like when you get into legal stuff, it is scary. And I'm happy for her because truthfully, my opinion, I don't think she knew that Tom was doing this. Like, yeah, do I think she like asked all the time questions? Like, no, probably not. But also, if she said, like, "Oh, where did you get all this money?" He'd be like, "I'm not telling you." And like, it's not weird that he was rich because he was a very famous lawyer. It's not like he was like they were homeless on the street and the next day they're buying Lamborghinis and flying on private jets. She met him wealthy. So why would she question the wealth? Why would he ever even tell her what he's doing? Like, it was definitely, I think, they did care for each other, but it was definitely like, "I want you as, like, little arm candy," and she's like, "I wanna live a fabulous life, so I wanna be with you." It was like a win-win for everyone, but obviously lose lose now for both of them. And she's just saying that now he'll like call her and be like, "Hey, how are you?" And she's like, "I'm good. How are you?" And he's like, "Oh, good. Just practicing law." Meanwhile, he's in a nursing home. And then she said they'll hang up and like 5 minutes later, he'll call her and be like, "Hey, how are you doing?" And it's like, that, that would be so annoying. I do wonder how much he is faking it though. And like, I don't even think she's necessarily lying for him about the Alzheimer's. Like, I think he's faking it a little bit. Like, I'm not saying he's not having some problems. I mean, he is older, and as you get older, people do like lose their memory, but he went from like 0 to 100, like Crystal said during the reunion. Like, I question like his level of Alzheimer's because my father has it and you don't just decline that fast. But we do see her going to Vegas. This is when they're going to rehearse on the stage. Her and Mikey get emotional. They're like, "I can't believe that it's all coming together. Like, look at our stage." But he is still not satisfied with those rehearsals. He's like, "I don't even know if we could do it." Like, being like so dramatic in the dressing room. It's like 24 hours left until showtime. And he's like, "I don't even know if we could do it." But he's not referring to the whole show. He's just referring to that one number. But I haven't watched part 2. I don't even know if it's out yet. I don't know if they waited a week or it was out the next day, but I haven't watched it yet. So I will watch it and then I will finish recapping the second part. But I am ready to see her get on that stage and show her stuff. As always, this was so fun, and you could find me on Instagram at Bravo T with the Stay at Home Mom, Spotify, and Apple. Till next time, see ya.